Hi, how you doing today? Um, I've got in a mood, and I literally sat down and wrote 23 pages of information, of as much as I can put out, without being bothered. Um, Even though they were bothering me the entire time, trying to predict my sentences and everything I thought they tried to say it before or say it after. You know what I mean? Like, if you're looking at this channel, then I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. Um, I'm talking about the remote neural monitoring and how it works. I've been in almost full contact with them for about a year. They started, supposedly there's some kind of contract that says they can't interact. Um, I'm not sure if this is true because they interact with me quite a bit, and I'm talking with dreams and in and out of dreams. Like, they'll put me through like a simulation in my dream, and they'll talk to me as I'm falling asleep in my dreams, and then when I wake up, they'll tell me to go back to sleep. And when I go back to sleep, I go right back to the same place, and I remember my dreams like they were yesterday. So, I mean, I analyze these things, and then I come up with reasons on how they do this. This is nuts. I was watching a video from somebody else, and they mentioned the same thing that I thought. It's like, how can these people be up 24/7 and not sleep? I mean, it's the same voice or voices. Um, they're always saying the same dang thing. Like, I don't understand how this works without a chatbot, algorithm, AI. There's these programs, I believe, that are ran, and they are ran all night, all day, to pick up trigger words. And these trigger words are turned into trigger phrases. And these phrases bring up visuals. And these visuals are turned into feelings because they attach a feeling to it, because they can fire your brain, and attach a feeling to it. And when you feel it, it feels real, And so don't fool yourself. Don't let them fool you, you know. So, and then once they get these trigger phrases and the feelings attached to it, they can make actions, like people that hurt people or people that just do bad things that put them into the system. I believe that's what they're creating. So, I wrote 27 pages, or 23 pages, sorry, just right off the top of my head, and I would like to read it and kind of get, if somebody wants to comment, that's fine. So I'm going to start from the top. I might stop and kind of explain things a little bit because, like I said, I was writing fast, and sometimes you forget stuff or write it wrong. I'm not the greatest speller either, so just bear with me again. I know I do my poems, and that's probably a very faulty thing, but don't doubt yourself, right? Alright, so here it goes. R&M program is a program for people that have addictions or have been in trouble with the law. I lived in another state, and I received 2 felonies for so-called possession, but it was only residue and paraphernalia. That was a time in my life that I do regret, and it was a long time ago. It was so long ago that it doesn't affect me to this day. But they like to badger you about that, and because it's something that I do regret, and regret is something that they feed on, so is doubt. So don't ever do any of those things. Don't ever regret and doubt. You learn off of these things. You can be better because you learned off of these things, right? I went to jail and paid most of my fines. I moved. I started hearing voices talking about conviction, hearing stuff like people trying to set me up. But I hadn't done anything wrong, and they were claiming I did. Now this is just the beginning. This program will run you through every situation in your mind just to get you to believe something is true. using trigger words, using everything against you, using your subconscious to influence you to incriminate yourself with triggered situations. Now, apparently they do this in your subconscious, and most people cannot hear their subconscious, right? I don't think I can either. They're claiming I can. And that's just another conspiracy theory that I believe that they're running off of, because in this you're going to hear, I believe in conspiracy theories. I like them, it's a truth untold, and they're interesting. So why not? It's something everybody wants to know about, and if somebody can explain it, that's freaking awesome, So, making you believe. When you believe, you build a belief system. I have a movie on belief systems, and it can be branched off like a web. This gives them strength. Once believed, they can trigger you even more. Then feelings are attached. Once feelings are integrated, usually bad feelings, they can trigger visualizations. This creates more power and access. This kind of access, they can make any situation feel real and true. Thus, the ability to create actions can be triggered at will. They wait until you're in the position of an action. They trigger, simulate a vision, trigger feelings, then trigger a movement, creating criminal acts. I'm not completely sure the reason for this besides control over the population, putting people in the system, money, power, and greed. They run chatbots to gather in information and create algorithms to create trigger words. Brain to brain is the terminology. I called it interfacing, and they corrected me. Breaking their no interaction contract. And I only found that when I was waking up, I was still relaxed, and they thought I was sleeping. I meditate, so they think I'm sleeping, and I'm not sleeping. And when I'm falling asleep, I can literally hold myself in that like right about to fall asleep position, and try to create a dream with my eyes closed, and sometimes it gets a little heavy and I fall asleep, and sometimes it gets a little light and I wake up, but I try to practice that every night, right before I go to sleep, like right on that edge. You just kind of hold it, and try to think to yourself something, anything, whatever you want to make real in your dream, and they thought I was sleeping. Said, we can't interact, just influence. I made them aware I was awake. So they interact and nervously ask, what do you mean? Fuck, he heard us. You serious? This gave me confidence to start looking for constants. Now, constants, things that don't change. Those are things that they constantly say and do, and it is really unique to each person. I don't think it's going to be the same for most people. It's just how you think, how your train of thought is, your flow, and how you do it. Man, talking with a mask on. And like I said again, I wear the mask because I want people to look in my eyes and not my mouth. So I take away the mouth completely, and you just have my eyes to look at, and it has more expression than my mouth. So that's why I do that. Here we go. Things that don't change. I started asking myself questions and try to remember my true person. I've realized that it was all about influence and how they were influencing me. Thought pattern was changing. I could feel it. I felt uncomfortable, sick, sweaty, and hot. They used microwaves and radio waves from satellites to vibration in the room that are around you, manipulating into words. Low vibration. The way I see it, they're using vibrations in the room from like fans or other appliances that have like a small hum. And those hums are waves that hit you, right, in the ear, and that's how you hear it. And even if you can't hear it, it's there, right? and they're manipulating those, and they have your brain pretty much under microwaves and radio waves in order to receive this vibration. And when that happens, it translates. This part of your brain right here, it translates, right? And that's one part of my brain that really freaking hurts. I get headaches all the time, and also in my frontal lobe and my rear lobe, my cerebellum. So low vibration, microwaves cause cancer and heats up the body. That's why I sweat and I'm hot all the time. This is where the sick, sweaty, and hot feeling comes from. They can make you feel guilty, fearful, sad, or sexual. You know, I've noticed that a lot of people say that they're triggering like sexual thoughts, you know, and this kind of like shows you what kind of foundation this is running on. You know, if they're literally making people think sexual thoughts they don't want to think about, what kind of foundation is that? I mean, come on. I mean, fear is one thing, but sexual, that's, I mean, I don't even want to say anymore. Let's see, they use this against you with simulation events and in your subconscious. Usually people can't hear these voices, influences, so they don't recognize them, making them the targeted victim. Once they realized I can hear them, they started using fear, sadness, and sexual trigger words to direct my thinking pattern to be manipulated later. It was working in the beginning with conviction triggers. I mean, there's things I don't even remember doing. You know what I mean? Like, and this is where they come in. They're like, "Oh, you don't remember doing that? Oh, well, it was fake the whole time. Let's convince him." And then once we convince him, let's make him feel like he did it. You know, and once he feels like he did it, then he's going to be compelled to do something for us. You know what I mean? Like, that's how they work. It's disgusting. Let's see. At the time, I was experiencing heartbreak. Yeah, that was true. I was heartbroken. You know, and my vibration was low. They used this trigger on me to use drugs, and that's the truth. I relapsed. You know, and that was pretty much one of their triggers. You know, if they can get me to do an action, oh man, Action Jackson. You know what I mean? Like, just let him go. So I started doing shadow work, and shadow work is, you know, you look in your past and you make things up. You go to people and apologize and like acknowledge the fact that you've done wrong and make up for it, you know. And that's what I was doing, and that was probably the worst thing for them, because that's what they were gonna use on me. Here I am, you know, like giving up all their ammunition. Oh man, I got to think of it as a funny thing, because if I don't, I get too, you know, off the edge. You know, I guess what you call an extremist. You know, I like extreme sports and all that kind of stuff. You know, so when I do something, I do it to the fullest. You know, and that's a fact. And so here I am doing this to the fullest. I'm thinking as clear as I possibly can. You know, without their triggers, and that's a hard thing. You know, and I understand that all these people that are in the program as well, being monitored and terrorized, that it's hard to think, it's hard to sleep, it's hard to do anything, you know. So just keep your mind busy, stay positive, and do you. You know, don't do them, do you. So I started doing shadow work, not knowing where they're not knowing that they were watching. This gave them a chance to get situations to manipulate. I started centering myself and using meditation. I found I could hear every trigger word being used and how they were influencing me while I was in meditative state. That's one of the keys, is learn to meditate. When you get in between that dream and wake state, you can hear them a lot clearer. Right before you fall asleep, teach yourself to stay awake. I've already explained that. Put your body to sleep with relaxation and heart rate. In order to do your heart rate, you have to visualize your heart and control your breathing. And then think of something happy and relaxing. And sit there and just think, slow down, slow down. Just think boom, boom. Even if your heart's going boom, 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 just think boom, boom. And then control your breathing and just breathe nice and steady. Then keep your mind in visualization state. And I've already explained that. Close your eyes and watch for shapes and recognizable figures. Believe what you see. And that's one of the things, is what you believe, they believe. And test that. Seriously test it. Faces. Sometimes they're people you know and sometimes they're not. I don't know about anybody else, but like when I close my eyes at night, the reflection you see on the back of your eyes, sometimes that morphs into things, and for me, I can almost see clear faces and stuff like that, and that's not in my mind, that's on my back of my eyelids, and that could be projection or whatever it may be. I'm not really sure. They call it a seer. They call me a seer. He's a seer, but that could always run into my belief systems as well. So I can't trust it. Let's see. Faces sometimes are people you know and sometimes they're not. Listen and think of words and then change them and listen. If this doesn't work, attack the visual and keep that visual. Change the word. So think of dog and say cat, pretty much. And if it stays dog, something's weird going on. So, let's see, visual and change the word. Stay focused. Listen to vibration and the pattern of the sound waves. So, the other night I was laying in bed and there was a fan going on in the other room. And it was going wah 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 wah, and I was hearing, can you hear that? Can you hear that? And I was like, what am I supposed to be hearing? And they're like, do you hear us in your fan? And I'm like, what is going on here? And so I actually kind of like focused on it, and I realized that I could change the words coming out of that too. And apparently that was amazing to them. With me, they try to put me up on a pedestal and then try to drop me. The higher you are, the harder you fall. You know what I mean? So I believe that's what it is. It's unique to me. So I'm just telling everybody my experience on how this works. And the speed of the rhythm. A rhythm is very important. They manipulate the waves, which is low vibration. Think of what the vibration could be if they were words. Change them. So listen to the vibration and think of what it could sound like in words. And if you can do that, then you can manipulate it and then start thinking of other words and just keep that state of mind. And once you do that, it's almost like you're creating the simulation yourself. I call it a simulation because they're simulating things that aren't real. You know what I mean? Like, these vibrations are regular waves, but they're manipulating them into the point where when your brain receives it, it's literally saying words. And this is where people think that, it's coming from another room, or it's coming from the faucet, or it's coming from across the fence, or down the alley, or out the window. It's wherever these vibrations are coming from. That's exactly where they're coming from. It's coming from above, but whatever vibration's in the room, that's where it's coming from. So let's see. This will give you an idea on how to send triggers and trigger phrases, how they send them. So that's exactly how they send them, is through the vibrations in the air. They use quiet, low vibes coming from refrigerators, fans, anything with a motor, anything with a vibration. Vibration bouncing off the walls gives the illusion that the voice is coming from another room and outside. If you are hearing them, they use situations in your life to manipulate your limbotics. So, choice. That is a big one. That's like the main one that they like to do. They like to pick your choice for you. They influence you with phrases or intimidation or fear. they do these things for I don't know what reason. Like, I honestly don't know the reason of this damn program, besides creating bad people. Creating people that they can put on the news or something, to create more fearmonger or something. I really don't know, to be honest. And it's sickening. It's very sickening. Literally, to the brain. Choice. Lymbotics, choice, and they want it all. Greed is their obsession, and I say obsession because they have to be obsessed with this to be doing this 24/7. And again, if they're human, they're obsessed. If this is an AI program getting algorithms, then I can see how it's ran 24/7. But other than that, no way. No freaking way. They have to either be not human, on drugs, or completely obsessed. You know what I mean? So pick one. It doesn't really matter which one you pick. All we know is we got to get through this. They break you down with lies and deceit, trying to gain your trust. Again, all negative things. Using artificial firing in the brain, they can signal your body to change heart rate to manipulate what you see and trigger response. So, they can trigger your brain and cause like a muscle in your face to trigger, right? And you twitch a little bit, or your arm twitches, or you feel like a tap on the shoulder. I read more, or I have more written down here before I explain it, before I read it. This gives access to parts of your brain creating action with feelings. Action can be prosecuted, not thought. They would need an action with a trigger. They would need actions with trigger words. Creating stories and situations. In action, they have a functional drone. So pretty much if they get you with all of it up to an action, they've got a drone. They can control you. Making your choices, buying products, and going places. Word phrasing is what they pull out of the lymbotics. Attack with a trigger, get a visual, and bam, action. It kind of explains it again, but just in a different way. They're using your lymbotics and your subconscious to create these phrases and triggers. And when they do these triggers, it I don't know, it could cause feelings that you have, or if they're not satisfied with the response to the trigger, they'll trigger a response and make you feel that way. And then when that happens, neurons in your brain connect, and you realize that, that's how I feel, but really it's not. They're just playing you. Controlling the heart rate is the way to trigger feelings. Very true. When mixed with a trigger, it simulates certain feelings with different brain fires. It creates love, hate, depression, fear, embarrassment. They continue to use this firing until they get a reaction they can work with. And that's damn true. I mean, I've proved to them that I'm a good person 100 times, and it's not enough. To me, in my situation, they say, is he a good person, or is he a bad person? And it's what they're trying to weigh to determine if I stay on the program or not. But it's just really like dangling a carrot in front of a horse's mouth. It's running for it for days and days, but it'll never get it. It's a catch-22. Let me keep going here. I'm sorry, I keep running off. They continue using firing until they get a reaction they can work with. Leading you down many roads. All trigger is done is a negative fashion, in a negative fashion, for low vibration. When your brain isn't at high vibe, it doesn't work as efficiently. And that's true. When you're not thinking right, you're probably mad or angry or sad or something like that, and you do something stupid, or but when you're happy, it could be overstimulating, but you think better, quicker, faster, and more efficiently. High vibration allows all firing to be processed. Use this in a positive way. Attach positive reactions and actions. Controlling this is crucial. This will allow you to know when you're being triggered. Watch what you see in your mind and know that the feelings are fake. They will be manipulated. They will try and say the same phrase over and over until you think of it, like a food product, just for example. They'll continue to trigger the same word. Like one is, let's see, think of a skateboard, think of skateboarding, think of skateboarding, think of a skateboard, think of skateboarding, think of skateboarding, and they'll do it until you do it. And that's another way for them to be like, okay, we triggered them. We got a spark. Let's build this fire. You know what I mean? And once they get a spark big enough, they can build a fire, and this fire will be in your brain firing in the wrong direction. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let's see. Let's see. Where was I? Watch you to see your mind. No feelings. They will be manipulated in which way. Oh yeah, I already said that. Okay, so food products. And other using names and voices you are familiar with to help you believe. And so they'll use names and sounds of people's voices that you know, just to trick you. Like I don't believe that any of these things are, some kind of schizophrenia or anything like that. I'm going to have to probably make 2 videos. I just got a note on my screen saying that I have not enough memory, so I've got to delete a couple videos. But I'm going to keep going until it shuts off. In my situation, it was family telling me I messed up and I was in trouble. Before I get into detail on my experience with the remote neural monitoring program, I would like to speak about belief systems. This is what they feed off of. So be very careful what you believe in. I believe in conspiracy theory. I think it's very interesting. This is what they use against me, claiming they're Illuminati at first, and then claim that they were alien. At one time, they claim that they play us like a PlayStation. I can explain that. Like it's a game, possible Squid Game. What's going around right now? Squid Game, right? And so, of course, they're going to play off that. I've got patent numbers and patent information on how they use this, and it's supposed to find criminals. And I do believe that when this program was started, it was to catch criminals, but over time it wasn't producing, and the funding was going low, and they were so addicted to doing this that they're starting to have new tactics, and they're building bad people. They're creating people to do these bad things so they have backup, to prove that their program works. But really, they're brain effing people. You know what I mean? Like, it's no good. This concept was thought through the entire experience. This tells me it's most likely true. That's a constant to me. They played this concept for months, mixing it up with other conspiracies. I use being completely rude and unworkable. They call it condescendence. They say I'm condescendent. Good. Like, of course I am. You've invaded my brain. You're talking to me in my subconscious and trying to make my decisions for me to be a bad person. Of course I'm not going to be nice to you. Get the hell out of my head. I'm normally a very, very straight thinker, and I think of every possibility. I try to be as smart as I can, but I'm not the smartest person in the world, by far. There's a lot of things I need to catch up on, but with this, I feel like I'm almost nail on the head. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like this is it. Staying strong and not kneeling to conformity, and I don't mean that as in like don't obey the laws. I'm just saying don't do what they say when it comes to the remote neural monitoring, because they're trying to make you go downhill, and they're trying to make you tumble. So when I say that, I don't mean go out and break laws. When I say that, I mean do not kneel to them. They are nobody to kneel to. These are bad people. And I know that for a fact because I've shown them a good person, and they still trigger. Staying strong and not kneeling for me is the best thing I could have ever done. Those were the words after a year of terrorist attacks on my belief system, and that's how I feel. They finally reached the end of the program and congratulated me for beating the computer. This happened just a few nights ago. I was laying in bed and we got to the end of the program. They're like, we have nothing left on him. How do we, what do we do? You know, and then they were talking and they're like, start him over. Start him over. And they were like, are you serious? We have to start this guy over? I can't stand his condescendence. And they're like, no, start him over. We can't. The contract isn't up yet. Apparently there's contracts on people. Who knows? And I have patent numbers too. If anybody wants to know some patent numbers, to kind of figure out where these programs are coming from, who owns them, maybe we can send emails to these people and be like, you're terrorizing people. We know who you are. You know, stuff like that. I don't condone to harassing anybody in the emails. I just want them to be aware of what's going on and aware that we are ready to take action. I'm not a violent person, and I don't want anybody to use any type of violence, even verbal violence, even though that's what they do to us. Don't stoop to their level. You know, we're better than that. We can get through this through law, if law even exists, compared to this. But yeah, just do it right. You know, do it classy. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. Congratulated me for beating the computer. And this is when I figured out a computer? What do you mean by computer? You mean they've been bots this whole time? Like I thought in the very beginning? And that's when I had an epiphany. It was just like, oh, crap. It was bots this whole time. It was just building an algorithm to run on me. So, and they started off with this in like different airports and shit, you know. They were doing this to see if people have drugs, if they're bad people, or whatever, you know. I'll just keep going. No one has done this. That's why I'm writing this book. If you believe in the Bible-related religion, that will be used against you. They were constantly telling me, go get a steeple. Now, I looked up the word steeple, and I don't want to offend anybody, so I just kind of, if you want to know the definition and you know, where the origins came from, and I'm talking way back before the Bible was even written, or in the beginning, one of the two, I just kind of look up the lineage on the steeple. And that's what they constantly tell me is, go get a steeple, go get a steeple. And it's just like, why do you tell me that all the time? So, let's see. Remember, they are not good people. Remember, they are just people. People that are brain experts. And I'm talking about the ones that are monitoring, not the bots. The brain experts are behind the scenes watching the whole damn thing. You know, and they're profiling everybody. They know exactly how to manipulate your brain with your beliefs. I have a visual mind, and that's the truth. I have a very visual mind. I can pretty much astral project in my brain, you know, and if I've been there, I can go there again, and I can see detail, just like my dreams. I'm extremely visual. I can see anything and create anything in my mind, and put, place, take, or take away anything that I put a belief feeling on. So, belief feeling on the visual, and they take it like it's the truth. And so when I get a visual, you know, I put a visual up, and I'll throw a feeling onto it. And this is where your heart rate comes in, you know, and you can manipulate your heart rate to make it go fast by like holding your breath for a second and then letting it go. And then when you let it go, it's at the part where you should feel shame or you should feel embarrassed, you know, and they'll read it as you really are scared or you really are embarrassed. and this is tricking them. And so I create scenes in my mind and attach that heart rate feeling to it, and this tells them that I'm telling the truth, right? Or that I'm scared or embarrassed or something, you know. And so it's kind of devious, it really is. But you know, this, look at them, you know, look at the way they're playing the game. It's not a game, by the way. I call it a game, just to them, to be condescending, because they call me that. So I call it a game, but really it's not a game. Let's see. They will trigger you with constantly, or they will trigger you with it constantly. I made a checklist of things that they were saying and triggers. Made a check every time it was used. This is a way to predict what they're going to say next. This will irritate them. They will move to more violent tactics like self-harm, like death or killing your family, or not killing your family. Yeah, them killing your family. So the other night, they claimed that they were part of an organization that kills families and stuff, and they said that to protect my son, he was going to be abducted and all this stuff. I did not believe it, of course. And you know, somebody would be like, "You're hearing that stuff? You're schizophrenic." And it's just like, no, I don't believe it. Don't think I freaking believe it. These people are just trying to play a trick on my brain to make me look schizophrenic or act paranoid or something like that. I'm completely confident. You know, I have no worries that anything's going to happen to me or my family. They're a bunch of cowards, and they sit behind their freaking desks and use their computers. You know, it's not a scary thing to me. It's actually really pathetic. And honestly, I kind of feel bad for him, you know, to sit back and do this for a job. Like, really? You're tearing people down, and you're breaking them, and you're causing self-harm and people to be hurt. You know, you're killing people's belief systems. And to me, that's a horrible act. You know, that's terrorism. That's terrorism right there. I mean, look at what happened when, you know, these terrorist attacks happened. You know, people's belief systems dropped. You know, this is a very emotional thing, and to be messing with that is over. It's just over. Period. Like, it's over. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. That's why I'm making this, to allow other people to be aware of how it works. At least with me, it may be different with somebody else. So I would appreciate if, you know, if somebody disagrees with me, just kind of keep it to yourself. I mean, you can make a comment if you want. Just please don't be rude. Don't put anybody down or anything like that. Let's keep it positive. If you don't have anything positive to say, then don't say it at all. You know, that kind of thing. I'm pretty sure all of our mothers told us that when we were children. If you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. You know, so that's something to keep in mind for the ones that want to be negative. Definitely self-harm. That's one thing that they really try to push, and I've seen that in other videos. So it's sexual and self-harm, and those are the two things that are triggered the most that I've seen. I have a small belief this is the way to create a war within ourselves. Doubt and fear is the way they work, and this is true. This tells me they're bad people making more drones for their army. In a religious sense, it's the devil gathering bad souls to make a bigger army. Who knows what they use the people for in the program. So what I was going to say was, sorry, yeah, so I guess I just kind of explained it all. You know, they're just kind of trying to make a big group of people, you know, and they're trying to label them. And with conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff, the things that are in the future are very grim, you know, and if we're not in control with ourselves, then we're going to fall victim, and we don't want to fall victim. We want to stand tall and be, you know, self-sustained pretty much. We shouldn't need the help Just do as much as you can spiritually inside yourself. And when I say that, I mean, do what makes you feel good, what makes you a person. If it's art, writing, singing, dancing, driving your car, riding a motorcycle, playing a piano or another instrument, whatever you do, do it. Playing hacky sack, whatever it is, whatever makes you feel like, yes, I finally get to do this today. Like, do that stuff. Not to throw accusations around without proof to back it up. And that's where I say, this is my experience. This is my opinion. If somebody wants to do their own research and kind of back my words up in their own mind, great. But don't take my words as facts. Take them as my experience. And this is where it gets kind of technical. You can take my advice, but don't take it word for word. Because like I said, everybody's situation is unique to themselves. So take it and use it the way you need to. But don't take it as in like what I'm going through is what you're going to go through. Or anything like that. It's not like that. It's completely different. I'm only going to talk about my own experience. I just said that. Everyone will have a different experience, designed personally for them. My concepts, because I have a high libido, they triggered sex, and that's the truth. I'm a male, and I'm a dominant male, and I am prone to mate. And so certain times, it's just an animal instinct. So I'm not gonna go into too much detail with that because there's too many trigger words, and I don't want to trigger anybody else with any words. So I'm gonna move on. Another is alien beliefs. I like to use candles and crystals to ask myself for strength, and that's true. I believe in chakras and inner energy that we can possess, that we have access to, but we don't know how. And just teaching yourself to visualize and magnification with stones and crystals. So that can also help. As long as you believe in it, it'll work. So I tried to attach they tried to attach Christian beliefs to my candle lighting because Christians use them and Luciferians also use them. They tried to use Satanism or something like that to my candles, and it's not like that, and I know it's not. And so when they tried that, it was a big joke. And that was another like turning point when I realized like these guys don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, like, do they even know who they're messing with right now? Like, I have full control of myself, and the little things that I don't, like little trigger words that's gonna make me shoot a visual out, like that's nothing. Like, I mean, look at right now, look what I'm capable of. I'm capable of telling it to the world. So let's move on. But it's what you believe and how you use them. Do not attach any negative to your religion. And I say in here, I repeat, do not attach negative to your religion. That they will eat you alive, literally. And that's the truth. Like that's the one thing they were asking me in the very beginning. Is he religious? What does he believe in? What does he believe in? And so they're going to try to act like they're your God, or that you are sinning, or something like that, just trying to bring your brain down low. And as of right now, as we speak, they're telling me to stop. They're telling me I'm incriminating myself, and that's another trigger word, is incriminating, and that's what they do. They just trigger the same words and try to get the reaction that they want. If you've ever been convicted of a crime, or you're most likely on the list. I called it a list. They corrected me the other day, and they're like, and it's not a fucking list. Excuse my language. They said, it's a roster. So, I didn't even have the word roster in my head. I don't use it ever. But they told me it was a roster. And if that's not interaction, then I don't know what it is. You know, it wasn't a word that's been triggered. It's not a trigger word. It's literally been said to me without it being in my own head. I don't use that word. You know, I would use the word list. And they got irritated because I kept calling it a list. Oh, put me on your list, huh? You're going to take me off your list. Well, they're like, and it's not a list. It's a roster. And so they corrected me and called it a roster. The list/roster is supposedly targeted population. They used the cover of Finding Criminals. I believe in the beginning of the program it was used in that fashion, but has lost its focus. Maybe it's not being regulated enough, and that is definitely true. Maybe it's not being watched. Maybe these people are doing this out of their own, like, enjoyment. You know, ew, just think how sick that would be. Or wasn't producing enough convictions, and that was the other point that I made. So they started to use worse tactics, possible schizophrenic type triggers. I actually saw a commercial on TV where it states, "Do you have schizophrenia? Call us today." When I seen this commercial, it hit me. They were trying to cover up the voice hearing with an illness, making everybody doubt the thoughts in their minds. And doubt is a feeling that can change choice to what they want. Using Google algorithm and Facebook along with every social media platform, they are designed to algorithm. Algorithm your choices and your content to watch and create a product and conduct a roster for you to view, or a list for you to view, sorry. A list for you to view. So pretty much what it does is, if you ever noticed when you're on your whatever platform that you use, the more you look at certain things, the more they pop up on your screen. Or have you ever noticed that you could be talking about something and all of a sudden it'll show up on your feed? Like, this is an algorithm. And this algorithm is teaching itself to know what you like. And the words you use, everything you type in is analyzed and algorithmed, and they use your wording. I believe that in this program, they hear you talk, and the more you use different pitches and different voices and say certain words, they can convict you by morphing your language. And literally, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this before, but they can take the sound of your voice and make you say anything if you say a certain set of words. And they're always saying, he hasn't said the words yet, we have to make him say the words. And I'm like, what words are you talking about? You know. And one of them was like integration, and there was a few other ones. I'm not going to sit here and think, because I'd be there forever. For you to product list for you to view. This is done the same way with R&M. They run algorithms on you to get trigger words and the way you think. They use your subconscious to try and predict what you are going to say next. Word placement. And so this is where you'd be saying something and then they say the phrase before you do, or a word before you do. This is so they can get a trusted voice in your mind. Once your mind can recognize the voice and you use that word, it's going to trigger something in your head to recognize that that voice is trustworthy because you use that word. And it'll be less, it'll be harder to recognize that they're triggering you when that happens. This is where the phrases come in. So word placement. Where was I? This becomes a trusted voice in your head, and you won't even notice it. I see and feel decisions and analyze why I did them. Did I hear myself say the words, or did I react from something happening in my observable space? This matters. Actions can lead to convictions. This is their objective. They are good at covering up their terrorism. I did not sign any contract or consent form, and that's a fact. I never signed up for this damn program. I don't want to be on it, and I've been asking to be off of it. I'm not a criminal. I'm not a freaking drug addict. I mean, I'm not talking bad about anybody that's, either a current one or what, but, I've been there and done that, and I know how it feels. So I'm not trying to put anybody down, but I'm not doing the drugs that they're trying to put in my head, A consent form, I do not condone this type of monitoring harassment. They, in my situation, claim they are police or some space program wanting to repopulate the earth after the next flip of the poles. They always tell me, think centrifugal force. Man, that's a really annoying one. They're always like, centrifugal force, think centrifugal force. And pole shift. I have an idea for a house, and it's prepper style, under the ground, about 3 or 4 stories, but this is playing off my belief system. Like I said, it will be unique to your thinking pattern and belief system. They tell me to build my house. They try to command every action, and this is where the placement, word placement comes in. When they try to command your actions, it's word placement. And all they're trying to do is either irritate you or get you to do exactly what they're trying to get you to do. And most people just kind of give up and just start doing it, and the next thing you know, you stop hearing them because it's a trusted voice, so I fight it all the time. When they tell me to do something, I'll change their words. They'll be like, what's he thinking? Smoke a cigarette. And I'll be like, smoke a betterette, or something like that, and they'll be like, smoke a cigarette. Oh, he changed the words. He's using different terminology every day. It's messing up their algorithm. On a very invasive, wrong, disgusting side of the program, I think I might skip this part because, like I said before, sexual is very triggering for some people, and I don't want to sit here and trigger other people while they're being triggered by the program. That would be like a double trigger, double barrel shotgun, and I'm not about to play into that. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that part. Give me a second here while I read through this to make sure I'm not triggering anybody with that, because I know it's one of the biggest triggers that they use because it's in your reptilian already. So it's a very natural instinct. Human instinct already in a reptilian, part of your brain. It flows through your subconscious to your limbics to choice. And that's true, it goes to choice. It's the easiest one to incriminate. They change your thought patterns to make you feel like you are interested in certain things that you wouldn't do normally when you're in that position, and others. I took a look at what they have on, so I just kind of took a look at what everybody's being, brainwashed with, and that means, like what kind of content are they showing nowadays? And it was all horrible. I went on there and I was like, are you serious? People watch this stuff? Like, oh my gosh. And look at these captions. When you read that and then watch it, I mean, it's brainwashing. Past mistakes can be altered if you are intoxicated, and that's one of the things that I had a problem with, and I'll admit that, and that's one thing you need to do is your shadow work. Be able to talk about these things openly and with an open heart and feel good about them. Know that you learned from this, and don't be afraid, don't hide, don't put yourself down. Keep yourself up. I mean, don't put yourself up on such a high pedestal that nobody can shake your hand, but high enough to where, you're above, because in your own mind, you should be king or queen. You shouldn't be bowing down to anybody, especially people invading your brain. They can convince you of stuff that are really never happened, and that's when you're intoxicated. It's like, I don't remember that, so they can alter that. They can make you think, oh, did I do that? oh no, and then they attach a feeling, and then all of a sudden you're embarrassed, and you start believing it. You're like, oh, I did do that when I was drunk. Oh my gosh. Don't do it. If you don't remember it, screw it. You know, move on. It's the past. The past is the past. You know, don't let them alter their stuff. If anything, you alter it. Really never happened, but it will feel it'll feel real. So you doubt yourself. Doubt is a major component for the brainwashing. It raises questions for them to manipulate to their advantage. Fear causes action, paranoia, behavior that is considered schizophrenic. The commercial, remember the commercial? Fear is feeling I am not used to. And that is very true. I'm not used to feeling fear. I'm a very confident person. But they try to use fear. And when fear hits me, I'm just like, why am I scared? Why? Well, throw that away. You know, it's like, be confident. Sheesh. I knew something was wrong when the artificial firing was causing fear. I knew I did nothing wrong, but I felt like I did. Happiness is not one they use very often, at least not with me. I mean, some people might be triggered when they're happy to drink or do drugs. This is where they play, you know. So when you're happy and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm so happy, I want to get a beer, you know, or I want to take a shot. You know, this is where they kind of play the game, and be careful with that. I'm not saying don't have your fun. You know, do what you got to do. Just be moderate consumptions. You know, there's a point, you know, to everything to where it's just too much, and it would be nice to know that everybody's got a limit and knows what their limit is. So, you know, everybody else driving down the road or something, if they're driving, can be safe, you know, or walking down the street and you're walking, you know, through an area where there's a bar, someone coming out, if they're too wasted, they don't remember what they're doing, or maybe they're being controlled at that point. But it's just a safe feeling for everybody to feel. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of accidents happen out there when somebody's intoxicated. And so all I kind of tell myself is moderate consumptions. Sometimes I don't, you know, and I go a little overboard, but you know, it happens sometimes. Just recognize it, acknowledge it, and then fix it. You know, start drinking water, or don't drink for an hour, or don't smoke for an hour or 3 hours. You know, whatever is good for you. You know you, so you know how to control yourself. This is where they do good cop, bad cop. One will accuse while the other one is acting like they're on your side, trying to gain trust. This is just my experience. The trust will be used later in the program to conduct a skit to try and break you. Always try and stay positive and never trust what they are saying and feeling. When they are using trigger words and phrases, they can fire your brain to make you feel pain. And that's a fact. Saying things like, I'm about to touch your face, and they fire a part of your brain attached to a nerve in your face, and it causes a muscle to twitch, thus making you believe. So if you were to hear, I'm going to touch your face, and all of a sudden your face twitches, and they're like, see, I touched your face, I'm standing right in front of you, you're most likely going to believe that, because that's a feeling. You know, that's physical. You know, that's creepy. And so don't believe it. They're not standing in front of you. They're not in the same room as you. They're most likely either in the Bay Area or Portland, Oregon, Washington, or on the East Coast places. There's multiple different. I've got the locations as well. Let's see. Muscles twitching, making you believe, causing a reaction to their action. Have you felt a tap on your shoulder and no one was there? Or hear a voice that was in the other room and no one was there? I'm really into conspiracies, so that's why they try to pick at me about it. So one major one is like to use is that the world is about to pole shift. This is one they still use to this day. They still continue to tell me that they're trying to repopulate the earth and that I am the perfect subject to repopulate the earth with, and it's just all lies, you know. Because I have so much self-confidence and I believe in myself, they try to put me on such a high pedestal that it's ridiculous, you know, telling me I'm the smartest person in the program and all this other stuff, and it's just ridiculous, you know. I'm a normal person. I did go to a little college, but it's nothing to be, you know, gloating about. I just went through high school, you know, and did a couple years of college. I got my associate's degree in like human services. Other than that, like, I'm not very smart. I'm a visual person, so maybe that's what they see as smart. And I try to invent things, and I'm, you know, I can weld and build and all this other stuff. You know, maybe that's what they see. I don't know. I don't care, to be honest. Let me move on. Let's see. They do and they're looking for people to repopulate the Earth using the program to find, the program to find the right person to give a ticket to when they get into the atmosphere for the pole shift. They said that they were going to float in the atmosphere while this pole shift happens, and they're going to land after it's done and repopulate. But I know that throughout, sorry, my spelling is crazy when I'm writing really fast. But I know throughout facts that that there would be more catastrophic. Okay, so I know what I'm saying. There's not enough facts to prove that this is going to happen. If there was, there would be more catastrophic things going on, like more tornadoes, more floods, more tidal waves, more earthquakes, more volcanoes going off. I mean, yeah, there's a few volcanoes going off right now, but, you know, I'm sure there's time limits to those too, and they just happen to be fucking running into each other, you know, excuse my language. Events for that to be something to believe. This was just an example of how they attack your belief systems. If I didn't know better, they could have gotten me already. Facts proved them wrong. I started looking up diagrams of the brain and realized that my headaches are in the language comprehension sides of my head, or lobes, by the ears. And it's right here by the ears, and it goes up and around. Do you get headaches there? And right here, and this is where your dreams come from, at least for me. My head, when I have a really vivid dream, it really hurts right here, like I smashed my head against the wall or something. It's crazy. Are in the language comprehension sides of my head above the ears, and visual lobe in the back of the head. That section is also very sore after having a vivid dream. I can remember every dream with extreme detail. I can. And apply it to my current life. I'm going to be telling you a dream in this here real soon. I hope my video doesn't stop. But it's like a type of simulation dream. I'll explain it when I get there. Dreams are a subliminal message that needs to be interpreted. They'll tell you what's going on in your life if you can only remember them. Right when you wake up, like write down when you wake up, then write them in a book. Start a journal of dreams. That's what I did. At least once or twice a day, or try to remember your dreams. So at least once or twice a day, try to remember your dreams. And the more you can remember, the more detail you'll remember. You know, once it becomes fluent, and you start thinking about it, and all of a sudden you're just there, you can start looking around a little bit. You know, start remembering detail, colors of things, how big things were, what the writing was on it, or anything like that. Details in people's faces. Now I'll get to that. Try to think of details, colors, and faces. It will help interpret. Just apply it and look for similarities and how they play out in your dream. For example, I had a dream in October. Okay, here comes the dream, and I call this this is what they called it. They called it the simulation. It's kind of Matrix style, with the way that we move in it and all that kind of stuff. but I'm just going to let you know that they were speaking to me before I went to sleep, telling me that I was about to go into a simulation, and then speaking to me in my dream. And then every time I woke up and went back in, I did it about 3 or 4 times. And I don't know if anybody has ever done that before, but if you can hear the talking in and out of your dream and then literally wake up from a dream and what they said in your dream was true, and then you go back to sleep and you go right back to where you left off, I mean, that's freaking weird. I had a dream on October 27th, 2021, which was just not too long ago. It was a Wednesday night. It started in a familiar backyard, and it was nighttime. I was being attacked by a dog. It was a Rottweiler. They told me to fight back, defend yourself. So I ran and jumped a fence. This fence was like 10 feet tall, and I jumped it with no problem. The dog followed me, jumping like a deer. That's when I realized how big the fence was. Biting my arm, the owner of the dog just appeared and condoned the fight. Like, okay, go ahead and fight the dog. I want to see you fight this dog. I held the dog by the neck and on the ground, holding it down. And its head pixeled into the ground. And I mean pixeled. Like, kind of like Minecraft, like pixeled into the ground. It was really wicked. The owner grabbed the dog and pushed him back with a piece of fence. It was a piece of fence that, I don't know where he got it, but he was pushing the dog back, keeping it from running out. Hitting the dog in the kennel next to it, and he apologized to that dog. This other dog was the size of a horse, and he accidentally poked it with the fence when he was trying to hold this Rottweiler in, and the dog yelped or jumped, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, like he cared for that dog. Then I snapped into the bedroom, where I was falling through a glass table, hitting the floor, and the dog was biting me in the side where my liver was, and it hurt. Like, I felt it. It hurt. I felt the pain. They told me to wake up, so I did. And that's the truth. They told me, wake up, wake up, wake up. Later on, they told me they were trying to give me liver failure in my sleep. Still speaking to me, and in and out of sleep, told me to go back to sleep. When I fell back to sleep, I was in the same room. This time, I couldn't see or walk or talk. It was like, I asked why, I'll just keep reading. I asked why. They said the speech was because of the way my head was positioned on my pillow outside of the dream. So because my head was to the side and my jaw was like this, I couldn't talk in my dream. I couldn't open my jaw. For all I know, my jaw was moving when I was sleeping. There was a fish tank by my feet with goldfish and piranha. I tested the situation and tried pushing energy through my hands at the tank. The fish literally jumped out of the tank. This told me I was dreaming. When I'm in a dream, I do tests all the time. Breathe underwater, jump real high, jump out of the water, float. I do this thing where I try to push energy out of my palms. And in a dream, it works. Of course it's not going to work out here. It's not going to make me float or anything like that, but it might be beneficial in some way, but that's another story. But in a dream, it works, and so you can test your dreams that way. I was told I was falling out of my bed, right? I could feel falling sensation, so it really felt like I was falling. I woke up, but I was still in the dream. A guy caught me and set me on the floor. He had frizzy hair. It was red frizzy hair, a longer face, kind of tall, kind of looked at me, but he almost changed. He caught me, I looked down, and I looked back up, and he was a different person. So, shapeshifter maybe? I have no idea. It's just a dream. All of a sudden, I couldn't see, like a veil had been pulled over my eyes. I started fighting with people I didn't know, and I win. I started being able to see, but still couldn't talk. So they told me to wake up and reposition my head. I did. Literally, I did. I woke up, was like, oh shit, my tooth. Repositioned my head, and all of a sudden, when I went back in, I could talk. This time going back into the simulation, I could talk, but not walk very good. They told me to just do it. I worked, It worked. So when they told me, just do it, I just did it. I forced myself, and next thing you know, I'm walking, you know. Uh, Walking out of the room, I seen a blonde girl wearing I think it was a Superman PJs, around my age, wearing the same thing. I was wearing the same thing. I say, hi, nice shirt. There was another woman standing next to her talking. They looked at me like, who the blank are you? I wanted to go outside. They said, be careful. The gravity isn't the same here. I started running, getting the hang of the movement. I was racing a group of people. One of them was the same guy with the frizzy hair, the red hair. I seen him quite a few times. I felt powerful, so I tried pushing energy out of my palms. I do this in other dreams. It's a test. I started floating. I reached a wall, but I was angled wrong. I asked, how do I look up? They replied, saying again, just do it. So I forced myself to shift. My entire body grabbed the wall and climbed up. Like, I was like this, and all of a sudden I went, and grabbed the wall, and then I climbed up. The wall started to fall. I heard, isn't that your house? Shh, don't let him hear that. It was a peach-colored house, pretty big, and had clay shingles. That matches so many houses, so, you know, it would be pretty much impossible to pinpoint that, unless I've seen it myself. The wall was a center block with a star pattern in the middle. They're pretty common. Again, that could be just a simulation of my brain. As the wall crumbled, I floated slowly down and floating to the ground. I walked up to a double row of females. There was like these oriental females that were in 2 rows walking, marching, and they were in pink and white suits, and they were like samurai suits. I stopped and said hello. I almost ran into them. So I stopped, stepped back, and I was like, oh, excuse me, hello. They just smiled. I was told to come back. On the way in, I got into another fight. This time, I was stretching my arms like they were rubber and end up beating them. I was literally Stretch Armstrong. I could, you know, just punch him, wrap my arm around him, you know, just wiggle around, move in slow motion. You know, it was crazy. It was actually a really fun dream, to be honest with you. This was a very fun dream, but at the same time, it was a manipulation and simulation that I did not sign up for. So, I get into the house, and all of a sudden, I'm at the top set of the stairs. I had some kind of suit on. They called it a pixel suit. A pixel suit? The freak is a pixel suit? I looked it up, and a pixel suit could possibly be something that makes you invisible. Okay. Pixel suit, right? Like, they told me it was a freaking pixel suit, not to take it off. Told me not to take it off. So I just went downstairs, walking through a door. It had some kind of beads in the doorway, like you know those beads that you gotta push to the side. They were brown. Walked through, I seen 2 beds with a sheet dividing the space. So there's 2 beds with a sheet in the middle. A guy jumped off the bed. It was the guy with the red hair and frizzy. He jumped off the bed, and there was 2 guys in there, and asked, who am I, or who are you? And what was I doing there? There was a guy on the bed playing a video game. Now, this guy on the bed, he is one of the guys that supposedly triggers me all the time, and I talk to him on a daily basis. This was literally a face to put the name to, and this is what they were doing, is putting a face to the name. And apparently they were trying to make it seem like they were introducing me to everybody, but as the story unfolds, we'll see what happens. It was his room. He says, who is it? The guy replies, it's that one guy. And he says my name. Guy on the bed replies, oh, psh, let him in. He doesn't like me. We fight all the time. So they let him in. Or so they let me in. I walk over to the bed and look at the guy. I remember everything about him. He's heavy set. He has a flattish face, wide. He's got a wide face with sandy blonde hair and hieroglyphic tattoos. He claims now that they were trigger words on his face because he's the trigger man, right? And so I thought they were hieroglyphics, but he said they were triggers. So, well, who knows? Who cares? All over his face, like a new age rapper. I mean, it wasn't like blended in. It was just like one here, one there, one here, one there, one there. You know, and I didn't recognize him at first, or not even at all. I didn't recognize what they said. So I believe they were hieroglyphics. I don't like him. His name I don't like him while awake. That I gave him a trigger, or his name Triggermint. I call him Triggermint. He's the trigger guy, and he always says, fucking mint. I never say that. That's never been a phrase I've ever used. And so when I hear someone say, fucking mint, you know, that's like, what? Where'd that come from? You know, that's not from me. So I call him Triggermint. He's the trigger guy, and he says fucking mint. And not only that, he gives you the trigger treatment. So Triggermint. You know, it may be the same guy for you. Know. Anyways, not to make jokes. That's what I do as I make jokes. And I'm sorry if this is completely serious and I'm making jokes and I don't mean to offend anybody. But, let's see. Thus, Triggermint. I walked upstairs and walked into the kitchen, and to my right there was an Oriental woman taking some kind of insulin. They called it adrenochrome later. And again, that plays into my my conspiracy theories. So it was in insulin bottles, though. It was weird. My mom's a diabetic, and she takes insulin, and so I know what those bottles look like. But she was taking it like a shot of like liquor or something. Who knows? She took it like a shot. I picked up the bottle and set it down. I did pick it up. I should have looked at the dang words. They asked if I wanted water. I asked for an alcoholic drink. I asked for a shot of liquor. They said I can only have water, but I drank it. As I drank it, a bald, dark-skinned man looks similar to Morpheus, and this is why I call it a Matrix-type stream, because in the Matrix, he's kind of like the leader guy. So I think that's what they related it to. It's just to make me feel comfortable, and it says it in here. Sitting in a chair like Lazy Boy. It was brown. He asked me to come talk to him. He was the leader or teacher, one of the two. His face was scarred on his left side. Teeth were showing, and they were sharp. They were like sharp teeth. Like right here, it was like rotted out, and he had scars up through here. And you could literally see his teeth, and they were sharp, and his eyes were bright yellow. Bright yellow with a little orange and then red right around the pupil. I asked, what's up with the face and the eyes? Showing the teeth through his cheeks, scars, his eyes. He asked if I'm having fun in the simulation. Remember, I was being spoke to inside and outside of consciousness. I asked, what's up with your face and eyes? His eyes were bright yellow and orange with red on the outside of the pupil. He replies, I'm reptilian. You see me as a human, so you're comfortable. He signals everyone to the kitchen. The Oriental lady was at a machine, and says he can have a shot. The machine had surgical tubes coming out of it, and the surgical tubes went like this and then down, and there was like little triangle-shaped spinners on each focus point, moving the liquid up through and then down. Triangle-shaped anger system, spinning and pushing through, a clear liquid came out. As everyone gathered, they all called a woman's name named Lisa. Before she came into the room, I wake up. They told me to go back to sleep, then started triggering me with irritating words, or with irritating triggers. I told them they were lucky I left, because I beat all their asses in there. And they said back that I was lucky, that the Mesopotamians want my heart. As I reflected on the simulation, dream manipulation, I realized I was attacked once more while speaking to the dark-skinned man. So I didn't realize this until after I started writing this, that I was attacked again. I remember another scene where I was attacked again while I was talking to the man with the bald head and the teeth and the yellow eyes. And when this happened, I literally moved in slow motion, and when I looked back, the walls turned into code, like, you know, ones and zeros and all that kind of stuff moving down. And I'm pretty sure this was just a way to kind of like feed into my belief systems and all that kind of stuff, and try to make this feel like a simulation, because I have this theory of a Dyson sphere and the pyramids being computers and the night satellite being like a router or something like that. It's just, you know, it's just messing around. But they, since I've attached a feeling to it, they see it as real, you know, so this is what they're playing off of. You want your heart. I reflect the simulation, dream manipulation. I realized I was attacked once more while speaking to the dark-skinned man. I seen him in another dream about multiverses, and this was a different dream, and they took me from one place to another, telling me, this is you in this multiverse or universe, and this is you in this one, this is you in this one, this was you in this one, and the very worst one, the dark-skinned man was there. And he was doing some extremely disgusting things. And my first instinct was, where's the bathroom? And I was looking for the bathroom, and I went to run. And when I went to run, there was like this porcelain hand stuck to my foot, holding me there, like, you're not going anywhere type thing. And it was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. And I see that as like, this is what we are, you know, how are you going to react to it type thing. And then they told me something the other night that I'll probably get into in this, and we'll talk about that then. This fight, I moved in slow motion, expanding my arms like elastic as I punched a red-haired frizzy guy again. As he laughs, his head pixels into the floor. So when I punched this guy, his head pixeled, like, and like pixeled, you know, like moved in with the floor and then came back up, you know. This is weird. I've never had dreams like this before, ever have a vivid dream like this where I can come out of a dream and come back in, come out of a dream, and then hear someone talk to me in both situations. This is freaking weird. I looked back